Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel, thank you. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Battle Through the Heavens based on novel. So let's start. Old Mr. Yao, please rest assured that Xiao Yan will definitely help you refine the best body. Xiao Yan beamed as he replied, it's best if this is the case. Little fellow, you can rest assured that the old me will not let you fall into any danger of losing your life before you refine the body for me. Tian Huazunja laughed out loud. His heart did indeed feel a gratitude to Xiao Yang. If Xiao Yang hadn't brought him out from that magma world, it was likely that he would have long since turned into nothingness. How could he possess his current grandness then? Moreover, he might even possess his own body in the future, and once again, have the wonderful feeling of being human. Xiao Yang smiled when he heard these words. With this expert protecting him, he would be in possession of quite a large amount of capital that would allow him to feel extremely safe when roaming the Central Plains. However, even with this talisman, raising his own strength was still the most important matter. After all, he could not borrow the strength of others all the time. Xiao Yang mused for a moment as a smile formed. He moved his hand and an emerald-like jade bottle appeared in his hand. He tilted the bottle and a medicinal pill the size of a dragon's eye rolled out. Immediately, an unusual fragrance scattered, commanding everyone's attention. This medicinal pill was naturally the mighty Huang pill. Moreover, it was the best quality pill among those mighty Huang pills that Xiao Yang had refined. He did not take it out to be auctioned. Instead, he had kept it in preparation for his own use. Now, it was coincidentally able to come in handy. The use of the mighty Huang pill was able to let an elite Do Huang raise his strength by 1 or even 2 stars. However, this also depended on luck. Something like 1's strength, not even raising, after consuming the mighty Huang pill had happened before. Moreover, the unlucky thing was that even if they failed, this thing would similarly no longer possess any effect when they consumed it a second time. Hence, the people who consumed the mighty Huang pill would usually pray in their hearts that they would not end up meeting such an unlucky incident. The medicinal pill slowly rolled on Xiao Yang's hand. A moment later, he gently exhaled a breath, widened his mouth, and swiftly stuffed the medicinal pill into it. The mighty Huang pill immediately melted upon entering Xiao Yang's mouth, transforming into a somewhat warm, powerful medicinal strength that wildly surged into Xiao Yang's body. Following the surging in of the great amount of pure medicinal strength, the corner of Xiao Yang's mouth also twitched. It was fortunate that his veins were tough. Otherwise, he would have difficulty consuming such a large amount of medicinal strength in one go. Xiao Yang gently inhaled a breath of air when the medicinal strength swiftly surged and flowed into all his veins. A thought passed through his mind and the glazed lotus heart flame surged around his body. Immediately, the flames charged into his veins and swiftly wrapped around the enormous medicinal strength. After which, it forcefully pulled this wild horse-like fellow. Following the route of the flame mantra chi method, it slowly began to circulate. The space around Xiao Yang in the outside world began to ripple intensely when the medicinal strength surged within Xiao Yang's body. Wave after wave of energy appeared before agglomerating into an energy swirl in the space above his head. Finally, the energy slowly seeped into him through the top of his head. Being in possession of a heavenly flame made refining the mottled energy from nature an easy matter for Xiao Yang. He was able to refine whatever came regardless of the quantity involved. The mountain peak had become quiet after Xiao Yang entered into a slow refining state. Only the earth demon puppet beside him continued its sentry duty. The Chifeng Mountains were quite renowned within the northern region of the Central Plains. The reason was not because there was a phoenix within it. Instead, this was the place where the Wind Lightning Northern Pavilion stood. The Wind Lightning Pavilion was divided into the North, South, East, and West pavilions. The North, South, and West were complementary branches, while the East Pavilion was the strongest. Even though this was the case, any one of the 3 pavilions possessed the qualification to be ranked among the top-tier factions within the Central Plains. The union of the 4 pavilions was comparable to some of the factions at the peak, and it was called the Giant of the Northern regions of the Central Plains for that reason. Chifeng Mountains were extremely arduous in nature. The precipitous mountain peaks were covered in a layer of fog that left one with a paradise-like feeling. The peak of Chifeng Mountain seemed to have been hacked into 2 by an enormous axe. There were numerous partially visible buildings hidden within the lush greenery. The most eye-catching part of the entire mountain peak was the enormous silver-colored pagoda that was located on the highest peak. This enormous pagoda, that rushed into the sky, was named North Lightning Tower. Its body was covered by a bright silver color. One could faintly hear the slight sound of rumbling thunder emitted from it. This was the sacred training ground of the Wind Lightning Northern Pavilion. Only the most outstanding people could obtain the qualification to enter it and train. On the highest level of the North Lightning Tower was a spacious hall. At this moment, a number of people were sitting within it. Wave after wave of majestic strength permeated the room, causing the guards standing outside of the hall to tremble in fear. Elder Yun's spiritual lightning tablet has already broken. A silver-colored leader's seat was located in the middle of the hall. Faint lightning glows moved along the chair, spreading in all directions. A silver-clothed figure was leaning on the backrest of a chair, while his silver eyes slowly swept below him. Finally, a faint voice reverberated across the hall. His voice was not too loud, but had a strong pressuring feeling. No one dared to underestimate him. 3 old men with different clothes in the hall immediately reacted when these words sounded. They had a clear idea of what a spiritual lightning tablet was. A thread of their spiritual imprint was stored inside. Should they unluckily die one day, this spiritual lightning tablet would also shatter. If this was the case, Chen Yun, there is actually someone who dares to attack a person from our Wind Lightning Northern Pavilion within the northern region of the Central Plains. Don't tell me that it is someone from the 10,000 Sword Pavilion. A black-clothed, old man with 2 long silver-colored eyebrows spoke in a solemn manner. We are temporarily unaware of who it is. This time, Elder Yun had accompanied Hong Chen to Tianbei City. No. Feng, Lei, Dian. You 3 elders should investigate just what happened. Capture the person who attacked regardless of who he is, even if he is someone from the 10,000 Sword Pavilion. The members of our Wind Lightning Northern Pavilion are not people who can be killed so easily, the silver-clothed human figure on the leader's seat slowly commanded. Understood. The 3 old men immediately stood up and respectfully replied. After which, they transformed into light figures that rushed away before swiftly disappearing. The large hall once again became empty and quiet after these 3 old men disappeared. A moment later, the human figure on the leader's seat slowly stood up. He gently waved his sleeves and rumbling thunder resounded across the hall. It is really a bold move to touch the people from my Wind Lightning Pavilion in this place. I will likely be laughed at by those 2 fellows if I don't locate you. Xiao Yan had already maintained this state for 3 days ever since he had consumed the mighty Huang pill. His body was just like an unmoving rock during these 3 days. Only the repeatedly rotating energy swirl above his head on the mountain peak emitted a soft howling sound. The enormous medicinal strength of the mighty Huang pill within Xiao Yang's body had already transformed into surging dou qi that flowed like floodwater within Xiao Yang's veins. Moreover, there was an unceasing amount of natural energy surging in from nature. It was refined by the heavenly flame, transforming into pure dou qi that merged into this large cluster of energy. Although there was a large quantity of natural energy, the remaining pure dou qi that Xiao Yang absorbed was of a small quantity after numerous refinements. However, it was at least better than nothing. Accumulated water would eventually form a river, while dripping water would eventually penetrate a rock. Such accumulation over time would reach quite a frightening level. The dou qi within most of the practitioners had been acquired in this manner. Relying on medicinal pills to raise one's strength was, after all, a shortcut. It could not be used excessively, or one would fail to reach a higher level due to the faster training speed. However, if one really wished to talk about it, this was the first time that Xiao Yang had used a medicinal pill to raise his strength. He had never used a dou spirit pill when he was in the dou wang class. Hence, he was not in the category of overuse. The training of Xiao Yang lasted for quite a long time. The medicinal strength of the mighty Huang pill within his body had already been completely refined a day earlier. However, he did not immediately move. Instead, he chose to continue training. This was because he had vaguely sensed that the medicinal strength of the mighty Huang pill alone would be insufficient to allow him to raise his strength by 2 stars. He always pursued perfection in everything he did. It was a golden opportunity this time around. Naturally, he needed to grasp it and raise his strength by the greatest possible extent. Another 4 days passed while Xiao Yang maintained this attitude. During these 7 days, Xiao Yang had placed all his attention on absorbing the natural energy. Under this unceasing absorption, the dou qi that flowed within his veins had gradually surged and become forceful. Each time it circulated, it would bring about an unceasing amount of energy. Such a filled feeling caused him to possess an impulse to roar at the sky. Of course, such an impulse was naturally suppressed by him. He clearly knew that if he let out a roar, the hard work that he had put in during his training would likely be wasted. Time swiftly passed during the training. The mountain peak was still as quiet as before. Occasionally, the earth demon puppet would suddenly raise its head and throw a punch toward a spot not far from the mountain. A frightening force penetrated the air and smashed a magical beast that had flown within a 100-meter radius of the mountain peak into a pile of flesh. During this period of time, this mountain peak had basically become a forbidden ground within the mountain range. The magical beasts that had suffered some losses had also learned to be much more obedient. They would take a detour when passing through this place. Therefore, Xiao Yan's training progressed in an extremely stable manner. A little activity finally appeared on the morning of the 8th day. The energy swirl above Xiao Yan's head trembled a couple of times before slowly scattering. The fluctuating space around him had also gradually returned to its calm state. The energy swirl had disappeared for a short while before Xiao Yan's eyelids began to twitch gently. A moment later, they were slowly opened. The dark black eyes were ancient yet ordinary. They were so calm that they appeared to have just awoken. There was not the slightest ripple within them. The fog rapidly swelled. A moment later, Xiao Yan finally reached the peak of the 8th star. A layer of invisible film suddenly appeared and suppressed the rising aura. Xiao Yan clenched both his hands abruptly as he sensed the faint clogging feeling. He did not stop at this point. Instead, he suddenly stood up and let out a long howl toward the sky. A clear crane-like cry instantly penetrated the clouds and resounded over the mountain range. It was a long while before it calmed down. The howl lasted for quite a long time, as though a breath was forced to its limit. Xiao Yang's face had also become flush red because of this. Green veins pulsed like earthworms on his face, giving him a ferocious appearance. Break it. Xiao Yang's hands were clenched tightly. The piece of enormous rock under his feet suddenly burst apart. Rock fragments flew in all directions as a stern cry was emitted from Xiao Yang's mouth. Crack. Somewhere, a non-existent layer was broken. The aura belonging to Xiao Yang, which had ceased rising, rose once more, breaking through the 8th star level, finally stopping on the 9th star. The aura had just broken through to the 9th star when it came to a sudden stop. Xiao Yang's body collapsed in a weary manner. His hands supported himself on the ground while he panted repeatedly with a flushed face. Although his limbs had already become weak, there was a joy that was difficult to hide within his eyes. He knew that the current him had broken through to the 9th star level with the help of the mighty Huang Pill, and his own resolution. In other words, the current Xiao Yang was a 9-star Do Huang. There was only the gap of 1 star to the Do Zone class. Although this 1 star has halted a countless number of experts, Xiao Yang had confidence in himself. This Do Zone would not be his end, little fellow. Not bad. You actually know how to push forward a little at such a moment, relying on your willpower to advance. The old me has not seen this for many years. Qian Huazunja's sigh was slowly emitted while Xiao Yang was panting. Old Mr. Yao has overpraised me. It is just that a break was being restrained in my heart, and I wish to spit it out. However, it is unexpected that I broke through this barrier. Xiao Yang rubbed away the cold sweat on his forehead and laughed. After the earlier weariness, he could sense a majestic Do Qi surging through his body. That weary feeling swiftly disappeared. Regardless of how it happened, it is still not something easy to achieve. Qian Huazunja laughed. Xiao Yang beamed. He stood up from the ground and twisted his body. The bones all over began to crackle. A comfortable feeling, that came from deep within his body, traveled through his entire body, causing Xiao Yang to involuntarily let out a groan. Is this the feeling of a 9-star Do Huang? It is indeed very strong. Xiao Yang clenched his fist and suddenly threw a punch out. The space in front of him immediately fluctuated. A sharp sonic boom was formed on his fist, which possessed an extremely great might. The strength of this force was really a couple of times stronger than a couple of days ago. After inhaling a breath of somewhat moist air, Xiao Yang turned his head. He glanced at the earth demon puppet before involuntarily smiling. Using this thing as a guard was really quite good. Now that I have consumed the mighty Huang Pill, I should leave this place. After having killed Chen Yun, it is likely that the Wind Lightning Pavilion will not take such a blow lying down. It is now not the best time to clash head-on with them. I should find a city with a wormhole and leave this place to hide from them. Trying my best to break past the Do Huang class as soon as possible is the most important thing. The Wind Lightning Pavilion has not only issued a wanted order, but the Han clan of the Qian Bay City has also been placed under house arrest by the people from the Wind Lightning Northern Pavilion. They should be thinking of using them to force Xiao Yang out. However, it is not like that. Xiao Yang is a fool. How could it be possible for him to fall into their trap, when he clearly knows that there are 3 experts from the Wind Lightning Northern Pavilion in Qian Bay City? Xiao Yang's body trembled violently upon hearing the last sentence. His face under the doping had suddenly turned gloomy. His tightened fist also emitted a cracking sound. Wind Lightning Pavilion. A voice that contained a sinister killing intent softly seeped out of the gap between Xiao Yang's teeth. The fury and hatred within it was not the least bit hidden. Clearly, Xiao Yang had grown extremely angry at this moment. His usually expressionless self had unleashed the anger that he had suppressed within his heart. A human figure was standing above a lush green sea of trees. His gaze looked to the northern sky and his brows were knit slightly as sunlight landed on his face. At this moment, the face of this expert suddenly revealed hesitation and regret. It was likely that this expression would cause his opponents to feel extremely shocked. This unusually merciless person could actually make such an expression. The Han clan being held under house arrest by the Wind Lightning Pavilion was indeed something that Xiao Yang had not expected. After all, regardless of how one put it, the Han clan possessed quite some weight within Qian Bay City. Moreover, they did not intervene in this matter. Unexpectedly, the bastards from the Wind Lightning Pavilion were acting in such a despicable way. The aim of the Wind Lightning Pavilion, by spreading news that the Han clan was held under house arrest, was something obvious, not even worth mentioning. They wanted to force Xiao Yang to reveal himself and rescue them. Xiao Yang was certain that Qian Bay City was likely already occupied by the experts from the Wind Lightning Pavilion at this moment. The moment he revealed himself, it was likely that he would end up facing an extremely intense battle. Currently, Qian Bay City had already become a trap, waiting for Xiao Yang to fall into. This trap was not really hidden by the Wind Lightning Pavilion. Moreover, it was also impossible for them to hide it. Even ordinary people were aware of what it was. How was it possible for Xiao Yang not to realize it? If one were to really talk about it, it was impossible for the other party to completely ignore such an action unless that person was cold-hearted. This so-called trap would naturally be ineffective on people like that. However, Xiao Yang wasn't not a cold-hearted person. Towards enemies, he might have been able to be cold-hearted. However, to normal people, or those that he knew, he was extremely kind, and this personality of his allowed him to have quite a few friends and experts gathering around him. People like Hai Bodong, Little Fairy, Queen Medusa to even the Qian Huazunja all felt this. Those who were cold-hearted to even their friends would have trouble getting others to treat them genuinely. This point was part of Xiao Yang's charm. Xiao Yang inhaled a deep breath and sighed. The Wind Lightning Pavilion is really hateful. It wants to force me out. In that case, I will do as they wish. Little fellow, do you intend to head to Qian Bay City? That place is definitely filled with experts now. An elderly laugh sounded within Xiao Yang's heart. A great man has things that he can do and cannot do. This matter is something that was stirred by me. Given my character, it is difficult for me to just stand idly by the side, Xiao Yang softly replied. These words are indeed true. The old me hates the kind of people who implicate their friends and end up acting in a timid manner. Although you are quite young, you really suit the taste of the old me. If you had not mentioned that you already have a teacher, you would not be a bad choice for a disciple. Tian Huazunja laughed heartily. Mr. Yao has overpraised me. Xiao Yang smiled when he heard this. His shoulders shook and a pair of crystal bone wings slowly spread apart. He smiled and said, in that case, let's get moving. Relax, as long as the old me is around. I will guarantee that nothing will harm you as long as we do not meet an expert at the peak of the Do Zone class. Tian Huazunja laughed loudly. In that case, I will thank old Mr. Yao. Xiao Yang also laughed out loud. He raised his head and looked over the endless sea of lush green trees. A pride involuntarily surged in his heart, and he let out a clear roar toward the sky. The shout was like the cry of a crane that clearly reverberated unceasingly over the sea of trees. Even if your Wind Lightning Pavilion has turned Qian Bay City into an extremely dangerous place, I, Xiao Yang, will still not be afraid. The cry slowly sounded before the bone wings on Xiao Yang's back were flapped. His body transformed into a ray of light that flashed toward Qian Bay City. However, Other than a few people, most of the members of the Han clan did not think that Xiao Yan would really show himself because of this. At this moment, there were quite a number of elite disciples from the Wind Lightning Pavilion within Qianbei City. Most importantly, there were the three elders, Feng, Lei, and Jian. The strengths of these three people was a little stronger than Chen Yun. Unless it was some old demon of the Do Zone class, very few people could fight with them when they joined hands. Even if Xiao Yang possessed the frightening strength to kill Chen Yun, it was likely that he would find it difficult to fight against these three renowned elders from the Wind Lightning Northern Pavilion. Of course, it was not only the members of the Han clan who were making guesses. The entire Qianbei city and some other cities, who had heard rumors, were all trying to figure out if Xiao Yang would really turn up. However, most of the people guessed that Xiao Yang would not appear. After all, from the way they saw it, not many people, who were thinking straight, would dare to charge into the dangerous grounds even if he was the young man called Xiao Yang, who had given them a great shock on the Sky Stone stage back then. 7 days passed by quickly while a countless number of people were engaged in discussions. Qianbei City was as quiet as it was before these 7 days. The big battle that they had imagined did not arrive. Immediately, quite a number of people became disappointed as a result. It seemed that Xiao Yang really did not dare to come. Sometimes, humans were a very strange creature. When they made uncertain guesses earlier, they thought that Xiao Yang charging in was an extremely foolish idea. Now, after having ascertained that he would not appear, they could not help but feel disappointed. They even quietly felt a little disdain. Their hearts had placed a charge of abandoning one's friends on Xiao Yang's head. A graceful pretty figure was seated on a stone chair in a small serene courtyard within the Han clan's manor. Her pretty eyes was a little absent-minded as they wandered the room. The current Han Shui was much skinnier than before. Although she still emitted a coldness, she appeared a little more moving and pitiful. Han Shui softly sighed as her pretty eyes focused for a moment. "Shui, you have been running here every day," a soft helpless voice sounded from behind Han Shui while she was sighing. Han Shui turned her head and discovered that it was Han Yu. Han Shui's pretty face turned slightly red. She looked at the pity on Han Yu's face when she clenched her hand and suddenly asked, "Elder sister, do you think will he come?" Han Yu was startled when she heard this. 7 days had already passed by, and there had been no news of Xiao Yang. Given her understanding of Xiao Yang, he was not a heartless person. However, the few days' wait had caused the confidence in her heart to sway significantly. "He will likely come." Han Yu finally said after hesitating for a moment, "I hope that he won't come. Those 3 old fellows from the Wind Lightning Northern Pavilion are people whom even great-grandfather greatly fears. Although Xiao Yang is very strong, he is likely no match for the 3 old fellows." Han Shui's long eyelashes blinked gently as she softly spoke. "Won't you be very disappointed if he really doesn't come? Won't you feel as though you have misjudged him?" Han Yu raised her bright eyes and asked with a smile. Han Shui had just finished muttering to herself when a rumbling thunder suddenly resounded in the sky above Qianbei City. Immediately, the entire city could sense a majestic aura that was not the least bit hidden rushing toward the city in an extremely quick manner. The entire Qianbei City had descended into an uproar when this aura had just appeared. Numerous stunned gazes looked in the direction the aura originated from. A ray of light was cutting through the air in a lightning-like manner from that direction. "Xiao Yang. He has really come. This fellow really does have some courage. Ha ha, looks like the old me has won my bet this time around." Qianbei City, which had been quiet for a couple of days, seemed to have recovered at this instant. Numerous heated gazes looked to the sky outside of the city. They knew that Qianbei City would no longer be quiet today. 3 old men on the top of 3 trees around the Han clan's manor instantly opened their eyes when the aura had appeared. They slowly raised their heads and looked into the distance. A cold smile appeared on their old faces. Is he finally about to arrive? Thunderbolts came pouring down from all around one after another. The silver-colored lightning seemed to be swimming around like small white-colored snakes. All of them repeatedly emitted glaring glows. These lightning bolts contained an enormous amount of strength that existed in a fashion visible to the naked eye. The world could easily break amid the flashing lightning and thunderous roars. Bang, 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 the thunder came without stopping. A moment later, Xiao Yang slowly raised his head and looked at the thick, dark clouds, which had almost been dyed silver. An extremely frightening energy was gathered inside it. It appeared that this Wind Lightning Northern Pavilion had really taken out a great capital in order to capture him. They had even used such a great formation, using the Han clan as hostages, and forcing you out, is indeed something that is not the style of our Wind Lightning Pavilion. The matter today might end up causing us to be criticized. Hence, it will also be the last time. However, we must capture you. We will not allow the 3000 lightning movement to be used by an outsider, regardless of who wins today. The Han clan is no longer related to this matter. The old man with long eyebrows stared intently at Xiao Yan. His voice was just like rumbling thunder, as it was emitted from the thunderbolt curtain, reverberating all over Qianbei City. They had also suffered a lot of pressure while holding the Han clan under house arrest during these few days. By saying these words now, they accounted to the people from Qianbei City and the Han clan. Of course, his most important aim was to restore a little of the negative image that had been formed during these few days. After all, the Wind Lightning Northern Pavilion was merely one of the Wind Lightning Pavilions. If they ended up ruining the reputation of the Wind Lightning Pavilion as a result of this, they would also not be able to escape the responsibility of doing so. Xiao Yan calmly watched the three old men. One could not see any emotion in his silvery eyes as he said, "Just attack. I, Xiao Yan, will definitely not do something as foolish as surrendering and allowing myself to be captured. If you wish to capture me, you will need to show some genuine ability." Xiao Yan pointed his finger at the three elders upon saying these words. The earth demon puppet beside him also emitted a glow in its empty hole-like eyes. Its feet stomped on the empty air as it transformed into a silver-colored figure that rushed forward. He, Xiao Yang, your opponent is Elder Lei and the others. Allow the old me to deal with this puppet. The earth demon puppet had just rushed out when a crack line suddenly appeared in the thunderbolt curtain. Hong Qian Xiao rushed in while laughing loudly. He immediately blocked the earth demon puppet. Kill him. Xiao Yang's silver-colored eyes swept over Hong Qian Xiao in an indifferent manner as he softly uttered. The body of the earth demon puppet suddenly emitted a silver glow when these words left Xiao Yang's mouth. Its palm wind also became extremely sharp. Each punch carried a deep sonic boom as they violently smashed toward Hong Qian Xiao. Seeing that the earth demon puppet had suddenly shown its might, Hong Qian Xiao did not dare to underestimate it even a little. He clearly knew that the strength of this puppet was extremely frightening. If he was careless, it was not impossible for him to be killed by it. However, it was fortunate that his task was merely to hold it back and not to defeat it. Part 1 end here.